What's up, guys? How you doing? John Hendricks here, as always, for a brand new episode of the Threshing Floor Podcast. On this week's episode, me and Brad are hanging out, talking about the recent news and things that have come out in the few weeks since we've recorded. And then we've got Chad on to talk about the brand new Land of Redemption. So we're glad you're here. Thanks for joining, as always, and we'll get right into it. All right, guys, welcome into this is another episode of the podcast on the other side of kind of a mini hiatus. We're getting really good at these comeback episodes. We just keep going away and then coming back. Maybe we'll find some consistency in our lives, but we are here. We have not gone anywhere. I did go to Disney World, and apparently that took precedence, and the podcast suffered. So for that, I'm sorry, guys. But we're back. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll. Brad, how you doing?
You know, in the words of Lecrae, we keep the hate on hiatus. So there you go. That's a throwback from 15 years ago. But I think the community will forgive you for going to Disney World. I think they will.
I think my feet are finally starting to forgive me, because I don't know if you guys, anybody that's listening, you've either met me or you've heard me make jokes about it myself, like. I'm not out of shape. I'm in shape. I'm round. I'm a little round around my edges, but, I do okay. Most people say rough around the edges. So I'm a big guy. And I went to Disney World coming off of, just working crazy hours and stuff. And it was fun. It was absolutely fun. Enjoyed it. Got to build custom lightsabers. We built a custom droid. Had a blast at the Star Wars end of Hollywood Studios. But the trip overall was great. But we ended up logging I didn't realize that on the health app on iPhone, you could see the distance walked. We added it up and we walked just under 50 miles at the parks.
Oh, my goodness.
And
I totally believe that.
I'm telling you, dude, my feet were swollen. I had blisters all over my feet. So basically, the moral of the story is next time we go to Disney World, I am definitely going to get fitted for proper fitting shoes, but feet are doing better. And it definitely doesn't hurt to get some walking in. And yeah, so here we are. We're back. Disney World was a blast. I know we haven't talked about it much since we started this, but it's football season since, that kind of happened around the same time that we went away. It's football season, and there's several of you out there probably listening that are involved in the Redemption Fantasy League. So I would just, I think this might be the first time the Redemption Fantasy League is actually getting a shout out on the podcast here. But I'm doing okay in the Redemption Fantasy League this year, so you might hear about it a little bit more often. How's your team doing, Brad?
Well, it's probably the worst league I'm in as far as.
It's the worst league, or you're the worst in it?
No, I'm the worst.
You made that sound like the league was really bad.
No. I'm doing the worst.
Which, I mean, it might
league.
be. I'm kind of in charge.
I'm doing a little better than I thought. I think I was 8th place last week, and I have moved up to 5th. So,
yeah,
not too bad. Kirk Cousins, man, he did me wrong last week. So,
man, I was last time I checked it, I think I'm in 3rd. And I was sitting on Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs, running backs that just kind of fell to me. And I wasn't feeling too good until last week. And then they both decided, hey, we'll actually play like we're supposed to. So appreciate those guys for helping me not look as bad.
In my defense, my number 1 overall pick got hurt week or the beginning of week 2.
And who was
Nick
your
Chubb.
pick? Nick Chubb, yeah.
He was killing it too. And then now he's out for the year.
Man. I'm still so proud of the nickname that I did a few years back with him. I think until I just changed it in the league that you are also in. Me and you are in 3 different leagues together. No, my personal one that I've had running for 10 years now. I think this is the 10th season for it. I just changed my picture to the new King of the Hill because the person that is going for a three-peat in that league was King of the Hill and then King of the Hill Part 2. And this year, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. I have him, so I'm the new King of the Hill.
Nice.
So anyway, I had it's from Hot Tub Time Machine, the movie, but I remember a couple years ago, and the picture stayed on there forever, even though I think I changed my name, but it was Hot Chub Time Machine, and it was literally I pasted Nick Chubb's face over the guy in the hot tub from Hot Tub Time Machine. And it's really hard to see it in the little picture format, but I thought it was really cool. And then
that's pretty good.
I think a year or two before that, I had Saquon Barkley, and it was the Wrath of Quan, the Wrath of Khan. And I did the old movie poster and posted him in it. Yeah, so I like to get a little creative with the pictures, not just the title of the team. But all that to say, guys, it's football season. Podcast is back. Redemption has roots right around the corner. There's a ton of cool things. I'm in a really good mood.
Yeah.
And also got to keep in mind, the 49ers are the best team in football. You knew I wasn't going to talk football and not mention that.
No.
You know it's true. That's what hurts you so much.
No, speaking of hurts, the Eagles, baby. Let's go. That's who I have to cheer for now since the Saints ain't doing it.
Dude, have you seen that commercial where they're like, Jalen, what's up with this? Has your name always been Jalen? Hulu has live sports. His last name just spreads out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I really like that commercial.
Because you secretly like the Eagles. That's why.
Yeah. So, Redemption Fantasy Football League, if you're in it and you're not doing well, don't give up. I mean,
that's right.
There's going to be somebody on the waiver wire. I mean, there's not going to be another Puka Nakua, which I don't know why you guys didn't pick him up.
Listen, you got to do like me and John in the Zoom Discord Invitational. We're not giving up. We're in 10th and 11th place. But you know what?
We're not giving up. I thought we agreed that we weren't.
We will not give up. We will keep playing until the end.
I unfortunately have only played one game. I played Jacob Ager the Wise, and then I went to Disney World and I had the deck. Matter of fact, here you can see it on video. Here's the deck. It's in the box. Me and you built this deck together at my workplace that night, and that's what I was going to play through the Zoom Discord invitational thing, and I forgot to pack it. So naturally, I'm not that worried. I'm having fun at Disney World. We come back, and because of schedule conflicts, I wasn't available, and then I was available, but I was supposed to play against Cactus Knee. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Jason. But anyway, he was going camping with his family, and so we didn't get to link up and make it happen in time. So now I'm paired with Greg, and he messaged me, and I'm such a terrible person that I have not reached back out to him to tell him my availability because I was trying to wait and see how the podcast worked. Then I can know my availability in the evenings after that. So I'm sorry if you're listening to the podcast, bud. I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry.
Yep. Me and you's got them wilderness decks, man. I hadn't seen a wilderness card yet, but me and you are staying strong with some of the wilderness cards that came out.
Dude.
So, but speaking of Discord, I keep getting notifications every time I log on that I have to change my name. Because they're doing this thing where my name's too basic, I guess.
Oh man.
So
so you need the listeners to help you pick out a new name.
Oh no, I already got a name.
Oh man. What is it? Do you want me to guess it?
You can.
Is it cool?
Man. No, it's not cool.
Oh.
It's redemption related ish.
Redemption Brad Hard After God.
No. It has nothing to do with David actually, but I'll probably keep the picture.
Okay, I don't know. You'll have to throw me a bone here.
So I guess so the only thing I could think, I was all right, the only thing I use Discord for is redemption. So I got to have something redemption and something that people would maybe identify me with.
Yeah.
In redemption. So
Ruth?
It has nothing to do with the cards. That's your hint.
Nothing to do with the cards. Nothing
to really do actually with the game.
Is it something to do with podcasting?
Yeah.
Okay, so is it a microphone?
No.
Because you can't be stealing Tyler Talk's new logo. I saw that. Did you see that?
I told you I wasn't going to change my picture.
I know, but did you see his? He's got like slick back hair. This little like I don't know graphic of a dude with slick back hair, which seems a little bit more flamboyant than shockingly Tyler is. I know he's a little flamboyant, but like the picture makes it look like it's.
Dude, shots fired early in the podcast
I'm not throwing shots. Like you can't be like me and not care how your hair looks and then talk about people. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, like, it's overly accentuating the fact that like he's got his pushed back.
No, I'm just saying, like, flamboyant.
Looks like he would have a tattoo on his forearm and be a youth pastor. Is what the logo looks like.
Nice. I'm just saying, you throw out the word flamboyant. I mean, people take that different ways.
I'm not meaning it that way. Calm down. Dude, and you say I say the controversial stuff.
I didn't say it.
Yeah, but you're pointing it out. It's the same.
Trying to help you out to see how other people may see.
This is a very flamboyant podcast so far. But anyway, so we wanted to obviously kind of come up with some cool topic to talk about while we've been away. And what better thing to talk about than, dude, have you seen Land of Redemption? I know it went away for a while. It was kind of like us. It went away and then it came back and it looks great and it's better than ever. I know we're not better than ever, but the new site looks great. And obviously there's a certain style with it and maybe that's not everyone's style. So, we can talk about that, but we're going to end up having Chad, who is the owner of Land of Redemption now, took that on from Gabe. And then he worked with Daniel, the creator, to redesign that. So we're going to have a conversation with Chad talking about, the goal of this redesign, kind of what inspired it, and just all things Land of Redemption, because I think it's really cool that there's something super presentable to outside people that makes it look like a wow factor. Even if you don't like all of the design elements, it's hard to say that it's not an improvement for engaging someone that is not aware of Redemption as a game. You put this on them, boom. Unite heroes, save souls. All right, what's this about? And it's like, it grabs you now. And I think that's really cool. So we'll talk about Land of Redemption later. But you know how we do it here at the podcast. We're going to go through and we're going to tell you about all these videos and all this content that's come out that we have no idea about because we have not had time to watch or read or listen. But
hey, speak for yourself on that. I've been keeping up, man.
You've been keeping up. Okay. So have you listened to the interview with The Guardian? I know we interviewed him. Justin Alstead is making his rounds in the Redemption content community here.
Yes, actually, I did listen to that. And I also I just listened today to the interview with Nick Marshall too. So.
Oh, from Chamber of Angels?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So yeah, Rob M Studios did an interview with Justin sometime after we had him on the last episode of the podcast. And there was a lot of talk at one point because I kind of just skimmed it so I would kind of have an idea of what they were talking about. And they were talking about the game and how it's kind of, at the point that I was listening, how like it used to be this thing, but now it's like there's so much content available for it. The game seems to be buzzing. Yeah. There's Roots coming out, and Roots is going to kind of like the collision of both worlds. It's like the new face of the game with the old classic, kids that grew up playing this game that are now adults playing this game are going to get to play Angel Under the Oak, for example, in a new form.
Not quite as good as the old one, but still auto.
Not quite, but he is auto. Not an auto include in your deck, though.
He's a little more flamboyant nowadays.
Anyway, and you mentioned the interview with Nick Marshall, who is the winner of Type 1 2-player at Nationals. And my boy James, I know people probably are like, why is it taking so long to edit? Because he's always talking about editing taking a long time. But that was a pretty good conversation. I listened to most of that. I fell asleep listening to it. And when I woke up and was driving to work, I like skimmed and found where I was and continued it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I don't remember that. Rewind, let's play. And I finished it. And that's a really good conversation. And you get to see some of the thought process that went into the deck and some really good questions from James on that. So if you have not checked out Chamber of Angels podcast, there's no competition here. We don't want you to listen to us and not listen to him. Listen to both. Go and check that out. And that's really cool if you are someone that maybe you went to nationals and you didn't do as well as you wanted. That way you can kind of get inside the mind of someone that did well. Obviously he did well enough to win, but even if he hadn't won and it had broke a different way, he still would have been one of those guys in that cluster at the top that you expected to do well and did well because they have just a read on, they can look at cards from the same card pool and just kind of know how to put stuff together and what's too much of something and what do you really need to worry about from the opponent without it being too much. You know, some people go counter heavy and it slows their deck down, but he finds a good mix of having counter pieces and whatever, or just ignoring what the opponent's trying to do to get to his win condition. So it's a good conversation.
Yeah, I think probably one of the coolest takeaways I took from that, there was a lot. I really enjoyed that episode, was the fact that the way he built his deck was not really thinking about so much the strategy of other people, just like, my deck's going to do this, and it's going to do it the best. And then it was like, when he said that he doesn't think, I think he said that he doesn't think in 8 rounds that somebody played an evil enhancement in battle. I was like, that's nuts. Like, what is going on here? Like, what kind of game are you playing?
He's playing the game where you win, apparently.
Yeah, it's like the best offense is when they don't play enhancements. I was like, okay. Well, I think I need to redo how I've ever done any game of Redemption.
I mean, that is true. The best thing you can do is just not let them play their cards. How many times have you walked away frustrated? You're like, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Man, I couldn't even play my cards. Stupid
Mostly
Jeremy.
just against Jeremy. Yeah. There was one game where, before Widow got nerfed, where I don't think I played more than 5 or 6 cards in my territory, like the entire game.
Man, that's rough.
And I never had more than like 3 or 4 cards in my hand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was one of those games. I was like, man, I didn't play a single evil card that game, like the entire game. Not a character, not an enhancement. But good riddance.
Yeah, good riddance. I guess also, the last time we recorded, you have to go back a few weeks, obviously, but Redemption with Jaden hadn't actually started back, I don't believe, because we were talking with Justin, obviously, Jaden's brother, and he was talking about the new wall with all of the plaques and stuff, and dude, I've seen it in some of the videos now, and it looks really good.
They did a great job on that.
I still don't know if it should have taken, 6 months, but hey, it looks really good. So I give you guys props for putting that together. It looks really cool. Obviously, I think you probably got the best backdrop for a Redemption video in the game. So, I'll give it to you, Mr. Classic. Mm-hmm. Since then, Redemption with Jaden has, he's got gameplay from both, I guess all 3 rounds now. Round 1, 2, and 3 of the Lackey Grand Prix. In the first one, he used a deck called Priest Breaker. And then the second round, he used Handyman, which was a blue deck. And I did watch that because I was like, ooh, I see Cloud of Witness Abraham. Let me just go ahead and tell you, Jaden messed it all up. Blue is actually better than he played it. I'm sorry. But beyond that, I haven't watched the one for this week.
Did you hear Nick Marshall say that about Blue?
No, what'd he say?
Oh, man. You didn't hear that in the Chamber of Angels?
I probably did and just don't recall it off the top of my head.
Oh, you would remember this. He said, Blue has never been good enough to play. He's never played it and never plans on playing it.
Dude, where was that in it? I wonder if that's part of what I missed.
Now, don't quote me on the, that's the paraphrase version, but it was essentially that. I was like, dude, wow. I also have never really played Blue, so maybe I'm not too far off from Nick. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I did listen to a lot of it while I was half asleep and then asleep, before I went and tried to find where I was. So maybe I missed it in there, but that sounds like shots were directly fired. So we might have to kind of come up with a response.
Those were shots fired, for sure.
Yeah. Whatever. Haters going to hate. Anyway, and then in round 3, Jaden he titled it "No Evil Character is Safe." So it sounds like maybe there's some shenanigans going on, or either it's like mass removal, or I don't know. I have not watched that one. Have you watched that one, Brad?
I did, and that was so. There was some times where I was just like, "There's no way he's gonna get a block. Like, there's just no way." And then, of course, Jaden comes out and like blocks. Like, what's Edgar the Wise's first name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Okay.
Yep. Or Jake.
So he had like a incredible offense going. Just, I mean, got it out there, up there. Like, if I would have been up against that, like, it'd have been a soul for sure. You know, what in the world would I have done? But it's a good game to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Lots of great interaction in the battle phase.
Nice. I'll definitely have to make sure I check that one out. Now, we mentioned earlier, I don't want to throw out the word flamboyant again, but we didn't mention it because of his logo change. And now if you go, Tyler Talks is actually part of the YouTube channel because it is now titled. So Tyler Talks has several videos that have come out, and I'll just go over the list of them quickly. And if you don't know what these are, go check them out. There's Shepherds Only, Egyptian Speed Rush, and then, one that I definitely need to go check out is Blue and Orange Hand Control. And then Tyler Talks during a game. So he's playing a game. I believe he said he was playing, did he say Bobby? I believe. I started watching this one and I got through about like 3 to 5 minutes, and then something happened. I turned it off and I haven't gone back to it. But he's playing a newer player, and he's obviously going to talk and commentate throughout that. So that's there. Land of Redemption, I know we mentioned, and we will talk about it in a little bit because we're going to have Chad on. But there is new devotional by Taylor on there about Naaman. And then See the Trees Take On, which is a series where Chad talks about certain decks that he's developed or tinkered with. And this one's called Money Tree. It's one of the ones that he designed for one of his playgroup members that went to nationals. So that's a deck you can go and read. And Chad does a really good job putting these articles together to where he gives you, like, you feel like you were there when he developed it or went through changes with the deck. Lots of details in his write-ups. So that's something cool to check out. Quickly, just a couple of other things here before we get into kind of just running down the list of spoilers that have come out, because I do want to mention that. But Series 15 is in round 4. Those pairings are live for the Zoom Discord Invitational. Then Lackey Grand Prix, titled To the Top of Mount Sinai. I believe it's Lackey Grand Prix number 12. That's also in round 4. And then fundraiser update. We've got a 6,000 goal to purchase new packaging for GOC and IR. And as of 9/18, I don't believe there's been an update since then, but as of 9/18, we were $910 away. We had $5,090.
Nice.
And so those cards and the foil cards look really good. There was someone on the Redemption Facebook group posted and talked about the cards that he received and said the foil wasn't really, like, it looks really good quality cards. So by all accounts, you should buy some of these cards, even if you don't spend crazy. At least get you a couple of Second Comings and 3 Woes so that you can build multiple decks. That'd be cool. Or, I mean, if you want to bless players in your play group or something like that, there's something for everyone. And there's multiple somethings for certain people like Chris that want multiple copies. And I guess me too, because I want multiple copies. Yes, we're a little bit greedy. I'm sorry. But it's all going to a good cause, because if we can get new packaging, then we potentially put those new booster sets in different markets that they are not currently in, because it will have updated packaging with the appropriate barcode and things like that. So that's something to think about. And then just to finish up here, Roots. Obviously, Roots is the big thing that I think people are looking forward to right now. I know I'm looking forward to it. And Roots is coming out in booster sets shortly, soon. I don't know what the word is. I know that it was mentioned to me at Nationals by Rob that he planned on in sometime in October. So we are in October now. So at some point we will have that. And some of the cards that have come out, and I'll just read through this list. And if you don't know what the new version of this card does, then it's in the spoiler channel. So go and check that out. But there is Buckler, which is kind of a joke card, if we're going to be honest. But now it's a dominant. It's a good dominant. And it works for warriors, so it's pretty cool. Philosophy, Job's Faith, which Job's Faith, a 7-0. Pretty good numbers on it. It's hand control. It fits in blue. I'm just saying that's a good card to play off Faith of Abraham and Patriarchs. Swift Beings. Swift Beings looks really good. It's got that Archangel's comic image for Gabriel on it. It's really cool. Zeal for the Lord. That's a classic. Jael the Shrewd. 2,000 Horses. Dungeon of my dude with the M name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Simon of Cyrene, Nathan the Rebuker, Assyrian Siege Army, We Are Legion, and then Vittles. You remember Vittles? You remember the first time I played him on you? You were like, dude, he draws what? That card's pretty cool. Apparently now it's a little toned down, whatever, but Emperor Vitellius, or Skittles, Vittles, whatever you want to, plenty of nicknames for that guy. And then we also mentioned earlier the Angel Under the Yoke. So these are all cards that are going to be coming out in Roots. And so with that, I mean, just join with us. Looking forward to that. And I guess we'll all find out together whenever that happens. But I know that we are currently out of POC with Rob Anderson. So Rob will start packing POC with Roots. And then Roots will also be in, obviously, the new set, Israel's Rebellion, moving forward. And then I think the target goal is for any old sets to also get that as they sell out the current print run, and he has to repack more. So if he's got some packed, he's going to try to sell those packed with the filler cards before starting to pack Roots in them. But eventually, all new print runs and new packs will get packed with Roots. But that's where we stand with that currently. So I guess we will get ready to jump right in. I know I kind of rushed for that to burn through those. There's a lot of content for Redemption these days now. It's not like I'm going to tell you 2 or 3 things. It's like, dude, there's a whole list. But thank you guys for hanging out here, and we'll jump right into the conversation with Chad right here. Are you enjoying this episode of the podcast? If so, please consider supporting our sponsors by visiting their webpage at covenantgames.com. There you will find a ton of family-oriented gaming products, including but not limited to the Redemption collectible card game. Add a Threshing Floor playmat to your cart today and represent your favorite podcast at your next tournament or casual meetup. All right, so we're here with Chad. How you doing, Chad?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Always fun to talk to you. I think this is at least either number 3 or 4 on your appearance count.
For sure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So obviously we're here to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and clue you in. Like I gave the little title of the conversation here for you on the outline that I gave to Brad. It's called The Promised Land - The New Land of Redemption, because it's like, I mean, this is pretty big news. This is something that I think Redemption has longed for a long time, as something that's presentable to the outside perspective that shows our game in a really good light for being engaging and kind of pulling people in. And when you go to Land of Redemption and it pops with that, unite heroes and save souls, and it's got the Guardian of Your Souls artwork, boom, it's right there. It kind of just slaps you in the face with, dude, what is this? I need to know more about this thing. So why don't you talk us into like your idea of how you got from where it was when you took over with getting the site from Gabe to you, I guess, reaching out to Daniel, the creator, kind of mixing that up, and what we have now on the site.
Sure. So I'm happy to answer that. And what it is now is actually entirely due to Daniel, the creator, in terms of the aesthetics. He actually reached out to me And he said, hey, I'm a web designer now and I'm building a portfolio. And so I am willing to take Land of Redemption. I think it has a lot of potential, and give it a whole revamp, give it a whole new look. And he sent me, like, he already had sketched out a template of what it would look like. And I was like, yes, let's do that. So all I did was say, do it. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to have the site, offline for a bit. I'll do all the work, and then you can pop in and look at it, upload articles. So the only thing I did to help the process was content wise. Like, there were a couple things that we needed in terms of content. We didn't have Tyler Talks on Land of Redemption, which is, that's a big miss. We should have had that sooner. And then Chamber of Angels podcast. And so I got all that stuff added in, got all the content up to date. But in terms of how it looks, that is entirely Daniel, the creator. And he did this just for the community. He did it for free of charge. And all he got out of it was addition to his portfolio. But he really wanted something that is a hub to where people can go on, just kind of like you were saying, on the internet, type in Redemption, and then they see this and they instantly figure out what the game is about, how to connect to the community, how to play online, how the game works, all of it. And I think he did just a fantastic job. He took everything that I think Gabe envisioned Land of Redemption to be, even you, John, when you were a part of it, and me, and he put it all together perfectly. And so what we already had is all there, and then it just all looks way better. It's more streamlined, easier to access, and just a truly an amazing gaming website. Like, this is something you look at, like, Magic the Gathering and stuff like that in those games. They have stuff like this, and now we have it, which is super cool.
Yeah. I think when you mentioned back when you and I were helping out, because the way I got involved with that was just, hey, I'm trying to learn more about the game and, kind of get more in tune with the community, figure out who people are, and just kind of, intermingle a little bit, kind of put some roots down. Haha, see what I did there? Because roots is coming. But I reached out. He said he needed some help if people were willing, they had time. And I was like, hey, I've got time. Work was a different animal back then. It was like I could get an afternoon game of Redemption or two in on webcam in the afternoons at work in my office. And now, obviously, that's no longer the case. But at the time, I had plenty of time. And I remember offering suggestions, and I didn't want to push the envelope too much about how we could make this a more modern website. But I also was working within the fact that it's a WordPress site that I don't know how much you can do with that, especially without a budget to do things. And one of the first things I suggested was like, can we get these old cards off of the top of it and put some of these, we've got these great cards, these national promo cards. We've got all these, full art with no border cards, borderless cards. Can we make those kind of the focal point at the top? And I thought that was like a really big improvement when it happened, and now to what it is. So I think probably from the early point of, and maybe it was, maybe I thought about it more because I was helping with Land of Redemption, but, and Brad can attest to this. Like I've said, Redemption needs a place where you can type in redemption.com or redemption CCG, redemption TCG, .com, whatever it's going to be. And then you take that and boom, here it is. Everything you need in one place. And obviously with Rob's setup, it's not quite that. I don't want to, I'm not trying to throw stones or anything, but obviously he's got a little bit of an older website. You have to click multiple links to get from the Cactus front page to actually Redemption. And Redemption's just a part of that site. But I thought that Redemption needed a place where Redemption was the site, like it was all about the game. And so when you talk about what Gabe envisioned when he designed Land of Redemption and came up with the idea, I really do think that's probably what he was thinking too. And it'd be really cool to get some of his thoughts on it, at some point, ask him about that. But I think it was, I don't want to misquote, but I believe it was Andy, who is one of your sponsors with Your Turn Games, said that it was like a front door for Redemption. And then, I don't know if you saw in the Picks channel, but Justin Alstead and Jaden Alstead were set up, and they had their cards out, the starter decks. They had, binders with cards. And then they had, unfortunately, it wasn't an iPad. it was an Android tablet, you know, because they're on old technology, but they had an Android tablet up and it had the site on it. And it just had, you know, like the first thing that pulls up where it has that image again, it just grabs you. It says, "Unite heroes, save souls, join our Discord here." And they had it set up as like an engaging part of it. And it made, if you take that away, the table looks like a game. But you put that there and it feels like the game is like it's super modern. It's like, when did this come out? It looks fresh. It looks cool. You know, we're getting all the cards on the new card face. We're bringing some of those old cards into it. And I think just without just saying it over and over, I think it's so important for you to be able to tell someone to go there. And this kind of started actually before the redesign, you know, with the like "I'm new" section and "Where do I go?" And now obviously you go to Redemption CCG, mouse over that, and it's the first thing, "Hello, I'm new." You click on that and it starts bringing up all these links, and you've got all of that in one place. We just did the recent news and we talked about how much stuff the game has and how the, you know, going over recent news and whatever you want to call what we do at the beginning of the episode. That's gotten so much bigger since we started doing it. It used to be like, "Hey, I'm doing this week. Jaden did this, and what's up? Rob M did this week. What's up?" And it's like, now there's like 12 different people doing things. But how do you think that helps you when you, in your position as a youth pastor that's sharing the game to your students, and now you have this site you can put them in contact with, or if parents are interested? That's the big thing, especially if you're doing it from a ministry standpoint, like with you as a youth pastor. If a parent's interested in this, you can be like, "Look, here's our site. Go and, you know, read all about it." So how much do you think it works as a tool for kind of helping spread that, especially just to people that are completely unknown to it?
No, definitely. I think that it's huge for that because, you know, like you said, before we would have to go to several different places to get a complete picture of the game, figure out the Discord, you know, figure out tournaments. You really had to go to the forums, to the Cactus Game Design site, and Land of Redemption. Now it's all here. So, you know, like I know Roy, for instance, he reached out to me and he said that he has a QR code card with a link to the "Hello, I'm new" on Land of Redemption. And he was asking me to add the new, what is it? Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like the new player's guide, or, you know, quick start guide. That's what it is for KNL. And he wanted me to add that to that page. And so, you know, now imagine for him, he has that card and boom, it's even better than it was. And it has it all here. You know, you don't need to go to the forums. You don't have to go to the other places. And so it makes it more streamlined and it looks a lot better, you know. So for someone coming in, like you said, they're going to see our game in the best possible light. They're not going to look at it as, "Wow, this is so 2002. You know, they're going to be like, "Wow, this game is like, this looks awesome. Like, this looks like a really well-polished product," which it is. Redemption is that. It's become that way. When you look at, like you were mentioning, all the progress with the, you know, new card face with rotation, now with roots, it is an incredibly well-designed, polished product that we all enjoy and we all see it that way. But for the average newcomer, I don't think they've gotten that picture. The only way you get that is by getting immersed in the community, buying some cards. But now people get that at the onset rather than going through all that work. And that just makes, you know, what this site is such a valuable tool in that regard, because people get that impression right away instead of having to dig to get to that point.
Yeah. So what are your first impressions with it, Brad? You've been a little quiet over there, and I know you said at one point, me and you talked about it, and you were like, I tend to have, I'm going to quote you. You said, "I tend to have a critical eye, but I enjoy most of it," or something like that. And obviously there's going to be design elements that some people, you know, they really like. And then, like, if you don't like purple or shades of purple, you're probably like, they could have done something different. But what do you think about it from, first of all, like, as a front door for Redemption? Obviously, it's kind of like the quick start guide that Tyler shared recently in the announcements channel that you mentioned here as well, Chad. But it's like, you go to that And it's not quite a website for Redemption, but it's kind of pushing us towards something like that. This isn't necessarily a website for Redemption, like an official website, obviously. And you know, it makes it known that this is a fan site, that all images and everything's copyright to Cactus Game Design. But it's in the absence of that, this is the next best thing. So just tell me what you think, Brad.
Yeah, so I definitely have, unfortunately, I guess sometimes, more of a critical eye towards things. But it's more not so much in the design aspects as it is in the practicality aspects of things. Of like just noticing, well, if they had this, it'd be a lot more clear. Or if you could just click on this instead of going somewhere else to click, that type of thing. But my first impression of the site, first off, it's way better on the desktop than on the phone. I wouldn't say way better. It's just, it looks so good on a computer. That's kind of how it's meant to be. But I love it, man. It's like things are popping out as you scroll down, or it's like kind of moving with the screen. I like how big everything is and how easy it is to read. It is very eye-catching. And a lot of things are easy to get to. I love that it's you scroll down from the first page and you kind of just notice like it's got it's got the newest set, which is helpful because I remember when we first got in the game, I'm sitting there thinking like we bought the starter decks and I'm like, man, disciples are the best. Like these are the best things in the game.
Bought those disciple packs.
And so I started buying disciple packs. I'm like, dude, John and Peter in the starter deck, like they're probably the best in the game. So I'm gonna give some more enhancements for them in these disciples packs. Not knowing the disciples have been out for 10 years, and there was way better cards, but there wasn't really a place to even look to find out when stuff came out. What set was the newest set, what was going on. So I really like that. I really like the fact that there's tournaments on the first page, so people know, like, man, this is active. If they're in Tennessee or Texas or Connecticut or wherever, they can see, man, this thing's this close. You got all these resources. Overall, I'm like super impressed and thankful to Daniel, the creator, and to Chad for really spearheading this and making it happen, because it is much needed. Not trying to diss too much on how it was before. It was good, but this is a huge improvement.
Yeah, Chad said it doesn't look like it's from 2002 anymore, and no offense to 2002, but that was like what my math 21 years. There we go. See,
I mean,
that's 21 years ago.
we were slinging the real Slim Shady back then, so.
Oh man, dude, the radio was all like 2002. The radio was all probably still like Nelly Ride With Me and stuff like that.
You listen to No Doubt in the morning.
Dude, we got to watch it though, Chad. He'll start singing like Usher, Let It Burn if we don't stop.
Hey, music hasn't gotten better since 2002. It was better back then.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like 2007 was like the shift year. Like
it's when Taylor Swift quit pretending to be country and she went full on pop. And hello, I'm sorry, Taylor can't come to the phone right now. And then she's like, just what was that one song? The Old Me Is Dead, and she made that a song. And now she's taking Travis Kelce down too, and the whole Chiefs organization, the whole NFL is downhill from here.
Big time.
Yeah. Sorry if you're a Swiftie out there. I just don't jive with that. But
she needed Travis Kelce to revive her career. So.
Oh, now you're firing shots late in the podcast.
There was some shots fired at the beginning of this podcast, Chad. So.
Yeah,
got it.
But anyway, so obviously all the credit for the design elements of it go to Daniel, the creator, since you said he had that kind of worked out and he just volunteered that to add to his portfolio. But obviously you can tell with volunteering to do that obviously he has, the interest of the game at heart as well, wanting to give it a good look to the outside perspective again. But here's one thing that I think is really cool about the site. And obviously you said, Brad, that it is definitely better on a computer because you get obviously just the full element of that graphic coming down, but it does look, I won't say as good, but it looked really well when the Allsteads had it on their table on a tablet turned sideways, kickstand. It looked really great there. But if you look at it, it's not just that everything is here. And now obviously you can go to articles and that pulls up everything. You guys added Tyler Talks to it as well. So you've tried to put everything there as far as engaging. Join the Discord server. I mean, it's super easy. It's right there on the homepage. But now, if you scroll up past that, it gives you a little bit more of a, like pulling you in, showing you some, classic redemption artwork here with the image of Michael. And then the next thing is the latest set. But then under that, and that's the thing that I want to highlight here, is people are going to ask, how do I play once you tell them about a game? If they're interested, the first thing you got to do is find a way to capitalize on them being interested and make them want to play and give them an avenue to play. And I think that's kind of where there was a lot of disconnect in the past. Me and Brad, we got super excited about it, but if it was not for staying up till 3 and 4 a.m., sometimes all night long on a Wednesday night, playing each other, just bashing our heads in again with the same decks over and over. Like, we didn't have any other
outlets. You can
outlets
play a dominant
to play.
after I've won the battle?
You didn't win the battle. Battle
Christian
Revolution
martyred me after I won?
But if it wasn't for us playing against each other,
man.
where's the avenue for me to express and get into deck building and, finding out what I can do in this game, what I like? You got to have a way to play. I think this, obviously, it's not the greatest thing in the world, Lackey. There's issues with Lackey, and I don't care how many times someone gives me the analytics behind it. The Lackey shuffler is real. I will take that to my grave. Like, you will see certain cards more than you should based on averages and probability. But anyway, all that aside, Lackey is how we can play online, and it gives them the full card pool once they get it. That is added right here to the main page. It lets you download Lackey and get started playing online. And if you click that download link, I did it before. I'm just going through it right now. It takes you to another page, which is the resources page. And maybe that's one of those things where Brad was mentioning, boom, maybe it should just download there, but then you get to Lackey and it's on there. So you get it from two different ways. You get it from that home page, or if you hit resources, you read through all these resources that are available, and then redemption is there as well on Lackey. But putting it out there that here's a way to play. You don't have to invest in cards. It's free to download Lackey. It's free to get the plug-in. And now you have all the cards at your disposal. I think is such an important thing, giving people an avenue to start playing games, even if they're just looking through the card pool and, tinkering with deck building as, kind of like their first touch with the game. But having that on the site is really important, I think, as well. How much of a focus do you think providing people and letting them know? You mentioned seeing tournaments and knowing that it is an active and vibrant community and there are things happening. How important do you think it is for the site to show the online community as well, as far as like playing games? Because we don't just play at tournaments. Now we play online as well. Just honestly, maybe more than at tournaments sometimes.
Yeah, it's vital to have that because, like you said, someone picks up the game, there's no one in their area that plays, they're not likely to stick with it if they can't actually play this game. If they're a collector, then maybe they'll collect. But even that, the thing that really keeps you around with Redemption is learning how to play and enjoying that experience. So that directs them right to that. And, that's a huge thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the nice thing that Land of Redemption's always been is kind of I call it what's next. I remember when I came back to the game in 2020 and I was wanting to learn how to play, learning how to deck build. Land of Redemption was so valuable for that because it has decks. It has, all these different articles explaining, the deeper things of the game. And so now, though, you get the starter stuff, because I think it had that with Hello, I'm New, but now it does that really well. It brings you in, and then it gives you everything you need to flourish, which is what it's always done. So it has that complete package. And I think that that's one of my favorite things about the site the way it is now, is before it had Hello, I'm New, but I think it lacked kind of bringing the player in. And now it has, as it always did, everything for what's next. Here's what's next. Here's what you do to get connected to the community. Here's how you deck build. Here's some strategy articles. Here's Jaden and Tyler explaining, the ins and outs of the more advanced side of the game. And that's pretty valuable.
How quickly was it, or I guess not quickly for you, Brad, but you got on Lackey before I did, and you started playing games online well before I did. How long from the time that we got into the game did you first download Lackey?
Well, first off, I believe it was Chad who gave me the Apple version of Lackey to even be able to play. Is that right?
Might be. It's hard to get installed.
Not all heroes wear capes.
There was something about, like, everybody kind of had a PC at the time, I guess, that was on, and like I was like, dude, I got a Mac and it won't let me do it. And it was like, man, talk to Chad, he'll hook you up. I think me and you messaged. This was like 3 years ago, so figured out a way for it to get on a Mac or Apple computer. So, and that's when me and you actually. You were one of the ones I played the most, I think, back then. Is that right?
Yeah, we played quite a bit back in 2020.
Yeah. Back then, when we had a little bit more time. That was like 2 kids ago. No, I'm just kidding. That was 1 kid ago.
You're only partially kidding.
But, I had a little bit more time with my schedule. I could kind of get on Lackey about the same time each week, or a couple of times each week. I had like those time slots, and it was actually the fact, because I didn't have very many cards, and so when me and John played. And you didn't really have that many either at the time, but we were limited to those cards that we had. And one of the frustrating things was you would see a card online and you'd be like, man, this card is going in my deck. It's so good. It's going in my deck right now. I'm ordering off of your turn games. Boom, boom, boom. You get like 4 or 5 cards. They come in, you start playing with them, you're like, man, this ain't as good as I thought it was. And you just put them away. And it's like, Lackey, it don't work like that.
It don't even work
it looks
like
better
it
on the
says
card
it
than it does in
does.
deck, right? So, but Lackey really helps you figure out which cards do you need to buy, what strategies work, like John was saying, what's your play style, what's some things that you're really going towards. So I really like that about Lackey, and for somebody online who, like in Alabama, there's like 4 or 5 of us that play. So to get an actual
and they live
game
3 hours
is like
apart.
pretty hard. Yeah. And me and John are always busy, so we can't ever link up. So, I mean, I guess we could if we didn't podcast, but Lackey really, like, you could play with somebody in Oregon from Alabama, and, it's so cool to have that.
How long, though, like, from when we started playing, did you first get that from Chad?
Within 6 months, I would think. It's probably less than that.
Okay. Let's just say it's 4 months. So you come in, you get access to the game, and 4 months later, I mean, dude, if you'll just scroll down, like, you can get it day 1. And here, it's like putting it out there.
Now, speaking of that, you told me I had a little bit of a critical eye, and that's one thing I would say about that on there. Just one of the things.
Chad, I'm sorry. He's about to go off.
No.
It's a pipe bomb.
It's little details. When I heard the name Lackey, first of all, I laugh at that name because it sounds so weird. I'm like, I don't want to play anything called Lackey. Okay, it just, like, the name turns me off to it. But even just having a little description of this is how you play online, like, that would cause somebody to click on that and be like, oh, okay, well, I can play people online like that. Other than just having it Lackey, CCG or whatever it was. It's or Redemption on Lackey. Those are the little things I'm talking about. Because if it were me and I was scrolling on the site, I would never even click on that.
Got it. Appreciate the feedback. It's helpful.
But it looks great, but it's just,
if you're
like, I just think about myself. I'm weird like that.
If you're not looking at it on the resource page and you're looking at it on the main page, it does say play Redemption online, and then says Redemption CCG is available. And then you click the link. So I don't know if that's changed since you first looked at it.
No, I was on the resource page.
Oh yeah. So on the main page, it does specify that it's for online play.
Boom.
So it looks good now, and I think that's a lot of things. And there's even pause given from a lot of people when something like this looks really good, but it looks like it would be a lot to maintain as well. Even something just like the background of the cities where it lists the tournaments and then the tournaments themselves. Somebody's going to have to be keying that stuff in. So is this like an ongoing arrangement? Is he maintaining the website? Who's in charge of that? Just something that you and Charles are going to continue working on now? Or is Daniel the creator still going to be involved in that part of it?
Yeah, my understanding from talking to him, and this is actually a good thing for him and I to clarify further, but is that he'll be available on a consulting basis. Like we already had one thing come forward that someone mentioned. So some of the stuff in terms of how the website's set up, it's actually still through WordPress, which is even more amazing. He did all this through WordPress, which I don't know how he pulled that off. It's incredible that he pulled that off. But so I know how to edit a lot of it in WordPress, but he's available if I can't figure something out. But in general, yeah, Charles and I will be keeping this up, which, is a lot, but him and I have a good arrangement set up to split kind of the workload. And I've kind of taken a step back from some of the other stuff I was doing in the community. I used to help out with play testing, and I don't do that anymore. I decided, with my work life, family life, the time I do have for Redemption, I'm going to focus on Land of Redemption, the play group I run, and then trying to play and deck build a little bit myself, So I've kind of stepped away from some other stuff so I can really devote attention to this and make it something and hopefully keep it going. I won't guarantee that all the tournaments will always be up to date. There might be some times where I'm a bit behind on some stuff, but I'll be doing my best with it with Charles, and we'll keep it up and maintain it. But yeah, he's available to help us, which I appreciate. He wasn't like, all right, I created this and now you're on your own. See you guys later, which I appreciate.
By the way, props to balancing your life in such a way to be able to maintain all that, because I'm with you. You've passed your family, and I also am technically in charge of our website and app, which is kind of a joke for me because I'm nowhere near what you guys are doing. But like even thinking about it and being able to plug in is really like you have to be on top of your time management and stuff like that. And so definitely appreciate that. Is any of that set up in such a way that like when a video goes on YouTube, it automatically puts it on the site, or do you have to manually do everything? Yeah,
we have to manually do everything, which, is kind of a bummer, but that's the way it's set up, and it works, it works out. But hey, I appreciate that. It took me time to figure that out. I've not always been the best at time management, but, I feel like as you go through more and more in life, the Lord teaches you how, sometimes just by the school of hard knocks. But, for me, how it's set up now, like Redemption's pretty much my main hobby. I do some other stuff like go fishing from time to time. I play tennis.
Fishing. I heard it.
Yeah.
There was a shout out to fishing.
Hey, fishing is the holy hobby. Look how many of the disciples were fishermen. That's the holy hobby.
What do you guys fish up your way? What are you fishing for?
Well, we've got just about everything out here. Right now it's salmon season. So all the salmon are coming in the bay, and unfortunately for me, I've gotten offered like 2 to 3 salmon trips, but my back is in that rough shape right now, so I can't really go out on a boat at the moment. But we do that. We go out on the ocean, deep sea. We're fishing for rockfish. There's this fish called lingcod, halibut, and then the tuna come in here sometimes. So we go out for tuna, and then for freshwater, we got steelhead that run in, and then. There's bass, but they don't get big like down south. We don't have Florida strain.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, the bass
I feel so bad for you.
They're tiny bass. And then, in Oregon, it's a diverse state. So you go to the middle of the state, and there's some really good trout fishing, like fly fishing. So there's some variety. But yeah, where we're at, it's a lot. Most of the stuff you do is out in the ocean, which is really fun.
Yeah. To piggyback off of both of you having this discussion, this would probably be a really cool thing if maybe we could get like Rob, Jaden, Tyler, a couple of different people, but you talk about time management and playing the game, but also having responsibilities because you care about the game and you want the game to further itself and new players come to the game and have something cool. I think that's kind of why all the people that are creating content for the game are doing it. Obviously, it's something it's a hobby to podcast, sure. It's definitely not a job because we would be fired. But this is a hobby for me. Making videos is a hobby for Jaden. It's not things that are necessarily bringing in money, but then finding a way to balance that with also still trying to find time to have fun with the game at its most basic level of this is a game that I came to and I enjoyed and I play it for enjoyment. And, balance that with the aspect of what feels like work to continue to put this content out for other people to enjoy the game and, kind of fall in love with it the way that we did. That'd be a really cool conversation and case study of different people, how they feel like their role fits in with that within the community at large. Sometime down the road, we can have some big powwow, maybe group discussion on that. That would be kind of cool, like a round table type thing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's a feather to stick in the cap on another day. We'll try to make that happen another time. Not obviously this episode or anything. So we'll pull it back, get back to it. But as far as if someone has suggestions on the website and things that obviously we enjoy it, it's a marketed improvement from what it was. But obviously to say that I'm better than I was yesterday doesn't mean I can't get better tomorrow. There's always things that we can improve on, and we can, look to, I guess, more, Brad mentioned, streamlining things and making it, those little tweaks and things. So I would hope that you're open to that since I've already opened this line of communication here. But if someone does have suggestions like that, what's the best way to approach that for you guys? And maybe that's something you could add on the website, if you have a suggestion, the way it just drops into kind of an inbox for you guys. But how would you like someone to give you those suggestions?
Yeah, and definitely I'm open to that. Even the fact that Daniel reached out to me and I right away was open to him rehauling the entire site. I'm no expert in web design, okay? I really don't know much about it, and that's why I'm always open to input. So if you have anything that you want, anyone at all in the community, and you're like, oh, this would be cool, just DM me on Discord, and I'll happily hear it out, and I can talk it over with Charles, mention it to Daniel, and it doesn't guarantee it'll get implemented. But, one thing about Land of Redemption I want to emphasize, this is a community deal. That's what it is. It's not, just the Chad and Charles show. Anyone that wants to help out with Land of Redemption can. That's been the whole point of it all along. That's why we have people that can be authors and contribute content. And so if you do happen to have abilities and you know how to help edit a website and stuff, and you want to help out as an editor for Land of Redemption, reach out to me. I'm open to having more people on the team. We'd be happy to have you on board. And, obviously we have more work now with the new site than we did with the old one. And another thing, we definitely want original content. So we feature content like this awesome podcast and Jaden and Tyler and Chamber of Angels and Rob M. But we want to have original content too. And so, whether that be, just you having a deck building article or a tournament report or, even a devotional, reach out. We want to have original content, and it doesn't matter how experienced you are. We've had people that are very new to the game sharing stuff, and then people that are national champions. So that's something I want to emphasize. This is for the community, and it's run by the community. And so it is really open to anyone who wants to be on board and be a part of making Land of Redemption, better even than it is now.
So it's a FUBU site for us, by us.
Yeah.
I'm getting it right now. I'm picturing it in my head. I put the pieces together. You mentioned the Chad and Charles show, and then you said we want original content. So are you saying you guys are coming out with your own YouTube channel called the Chad and Charles Show? Because that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. I am pretty bad with YouTube. I tried to do a couple of videos where I did the drawing for the fundraiser, and those were rough. I am not I am not good with YouTube. But, Charles, that being said, some of you may remember a while back, he had a booster draft video.
Oh yeah.
And he has a couple more of those. They're a lot of work to edit because they're long, but he does plan at some point to release those. So I could see, Charles having some good YouTube content down the road, and he seems to be a little bit more savvy with that than me. So yeah, I could see a Charles show happening with YouTube.
You mentioned that you are not a web designer or whatever, and now you mentioned not being that great with YouTube. I guess that makes sense because you remember the first time we had you on the podcast, you couldn't get on whatever service I was using to record because you were using Firefox.
I still use Firefox. The only time I use Google Chrome is for this with you. It's simpler for me.
You were like, please don't hack me, Hendrix. I'm a lowly Mozilla Firefox user. Those were good times, man. Those were good times.
I'm 28 going on 60 when it comes to, technology. So I'm an old soul at heart when it comes to the internet and, tech. But I do use Mac, so that makes me, I think, a little better than some people.
That does make you better than some people. I have slowly converted all the computers at work to Macs now. So I had to tell them when they were doing recent job postings, and it was like, must be adept at using Windows PCs. No, you need to change that to Mac computers or ability to learn. It doesn't just scroll differently, guys. There's other things too, but I think it's far superior, but that's just me. But yeah, so the website looks great, and I think everything about it feels like an improvement. Now, one suggestion that I have that, now that I've asked you about whether you're open to suggestions, you said a DM you. Don't want to DM you this one. I'll just throw it out there. Do you think that there could be a possibility, in the most respectful way, if it can't happen, that's fine too. But for Land of Redemption, we talked about that online play and you've got tournaments there. Well, now if you marry those two together, we've got some online unofficial tournaments that are pretty big for the community and would allow someone that doesn't have anyone in their area to connect and play some competitive games or, get their foot wet in that area. So do you see a future potential for maybe including that somehow? Or, I don't know necessarily how that would go because a lot of it's done based through Discord, but maybe you could do like the current standings and then enter the next, having some kind of like sign up form that could be ported over to Jay for his tournament and then Rob M for theirs. But do you think that would be something worthwhile to add to the site?
Well, I think that's an excellent idea. And the really nice thing about that is each of them have their own Discord. So we can just port directly to the Rob M Studios Discord and the Lackey Grand Prix Discord and have, that there. I'm going to look into that. That would be excellent. That's such a good idea because, those are one of the things that are a new thing to the community that have been such a great, gift because then instead of just having to post, hey, looking for a game. Okay, I'm playing the same person 30 times in a row because we have the same time zone, you get this opportunity to play a variety of players and be in a tournament setting, which makes it more fun. Yeah, we need to add that. Great idea. Good thought.
Is that how you felt about me and you playing all the time? Or?
No, I was blessed that
he got tired of winning. Okay,
we were called the Hog Crew, the Hoot Owls Gamer Guild, because there were all of us that were up super late at night, and there were some good players like you and then Justin Allstad and Mike Lasky, 77 Godspeed, and Jay Chambers used to be a part of that. And so, we were all up super late playing games. Oh, and Seth, man, I miss Seth. Yeah. I wish he was back. But, all of us were on, in the wee hours of the night. And that was one of Lackey, one of the prime eras during COVID.
I think Seth and Renee were probably Seth and Renee were probably the ones I played the most when I first got Lackey. Because Seth and Renee were always looking for games. Just always. And I was like so desperate to try to figure out how to actually play this game right. It was cool. But yeah, that's a great idea, John, about the Zoom Discord and Lackey. Thank goodness for Rob M and Jay for keeping those going, and then Rob Smith for picking it up this tournament.
Yeah. I think anything that helps us move away from that person that comes in, finds a game, discovers it. And I think you see it on Discord a lot. It's like, is there anyone from, and they list their town, and like the next closest person's like 6 hours away. And it's easy for them to then check out and be like, okay, no one's around me to play. But if now there's not only we're giving you, and that was great for, Daniel to include that on the site kind of in a prominent way to get Lackey and play online. But then if you can also port that over and say, hey, now there's a potential unofficial tournament that you can play in. Maybe that's another area. Like if we ever pick up, I don't know where it currently stands for doing some of those monthly online official tournaments, which are through Zoom and whatever. I believe they use Zoom and or Discord or whatever. I've only done one of those, but if those those official tournaments come back, maybe finding a way to include those, just to say, even if you're on your own, you're out there on that island alone, as long as you have, a connection to the internet, which most people are going to have nowadays, you can play this game and you can find different people to play, and you can feel like you're part of the community without getting turned away because there's no one playing in your area. And so that's where like the heart of that suggestion is, and anything that like further limits the chance that someone has that encounter to where they come in, get bored because no one's around to play, and then they're out. Because we need to start, once we get them in, we need to engage them and keep them and show them, the best thing about this game, which is the community that it harbors and fosters. And I mean, you never get to that point if you think you're all alone. Even if you join a Discord and people don't engage with you as a new player, then you're just, the most alone place sometimes can be a crowded room type of thing. You need somebody that engages with you and provides that potential for you to play this game at its most basic level and just enjoy the game for what it is. That's where that suggestion came from. But
you're getting deep on us there, Hendrix.
Hey man, I ain't trying to get too deep, but I think that
it's a good idea.
I've said as great of things as I can about the site. I don't really have any super negatives or anything. There's obviously, things that you can hope for an improvement or whatever in the future. And, my only thing is that like whatever it takes to keep it looking sharp and fresh for the future, to where, a year from now it doesn't feel outdated, that type of thing. So if you do have time, if you're, Chad put it out there, he's open to help if you have time to help. I know at one point I had time to help with Land of Redemption, and I chose to do that. So if you're out there, you have time, you're good with computers. If you use a Mac and not a PC, I'm sorry. If you're good with computers, you can no specific computer required. You can just don't use Firefox. If you use Firefox. But yeah, if you want to help maintain the site, because I think that's the next step, is to make sure that it doesn't, get passed by just because, people don't have time to load those tournaments and things or whatever, start falling to the crack, and then feels like, hey, it was cool, back when it first came out and whatever, to keep it fresh. Just more eyes on it, more hands helping. Many hands make light work. So get with Chad if you're available to help with that. And I think that's pretty much all I got to say about Land of Redemption. I do have one other closing point that I want to do, but I'll just open the floor for you guys if you have any final thoughts on the site and the transition from what it was to now. Then feel free to take it and run with it.
Sure, I'll mention something. So we've talked a lot about what Land of Redemption offers for the newcomer, and I definitely wanted to be that, but I also wanted to continue to be a place where people that are wanting to improve at the game can really have resources to get better. And so, I think we have that with all the featured content, but one piece of original content that I started myself is See the Trees Take On, and it's a deck building series. And so basically, I developed the philosophy a while back that I'm just going to share all my deck builds. I build a decent number of decks, some for myself, some for playgroup members, and I'm all mine, I'm going to share. But one thing I do is I wait to share them till they're kind of at a refined point. That way I'm not just posting something I crafted that night, but I've really put a lot of thought into it, tested it a bit to give people a look at what a, refined deck is. But I had this thought and I'm kind of going to change it. So it's no longer going to be see the trees take on, but it's going to be see the trees deck database. And so what that means is one thing I've realized is what we've always had in the community is people will post their deck, get some comments on it, and then that deck just stays there. But I was part of Magic the Gathering for a while, and one of the communities I was in had a deck database. And what would happen is people would go in and they'd post their deck and then they'd update it over time. And so you could log in and see, oh, wow, they changed their deck. And then you could go and see what changed. And then it had a change log at the bottom. And that was invaluable because then you learn the process of, okay, a deck isn't finished the minute you craft it. There's this refining process. And so I feel like that's something that there's been no place to go to for that in the community to see the refining process that happens in deck builds. So what I'm going to be doing is my decks that are active, I will continually refine them and update them and have a change log so people can log in and see what that process looks like and to see the thought that goes into, oh, well, I changed this because this wasn't working anymore. And so that's something that I'm hoping, to offer to people in the community as another way to improve is kind of learning through that refining process. Not just like, oh, here's this deck, hopefully it helps you, but here's this deck and here's what it looks like to continue to make it better. And so I'd invite anyone that wants to do that as well. If you want to do deck building articles like that and then update yours, it can be part of the database and we can add it in. And so that's something I really want to get going on Land of Redemption moving forward.
That does sound like a pretty cool idea, especially like being able to, because you said those decks kind of just sit there, but sometimes people get suggestions and they're like, oh, I'll try that. And then like I read that, 6 weeks later, a month later, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, well, I wonder if that change really helped him. And it's like, do I take the time to build the whole deck? Or it'd be cool to just see how that changed, how it ended up faring. If it's like I was running Chariot of Fire, but then I realized that I can't play this on New Testament prophets, so I took it out because I didn't realize that. I'm sorry, whoever I cheated last tournament season when I was playing that. But yeah, it'd be cool to kind of see the change log with that. That's pretty cool. And it's kind of like, it almost makes it the reg to where you can see what changes and see kind of like the state of the game and rulings to be able to follow that through a deck. Now, how much work do you think something like that is going to take? So if you mentioned that someone could have theirs added. So if I have a deck and I want to share it, I'm cool with this idea of sharing my deck in its raw form, and then the changes or whatever are more raw form. Then how hard would that be to submit the changes to you guys to get that put up with the change log?
Yeah, really all it would take is sending over, here's updates, here's what I added, here's what I cut, here's my thoughts. So add, cut, and then a thoughts section on why you did the changes. And then we could take that and update it. And the nice thing about it is it's really just taking a little extra time. Once you've refined your deck, you like your changes, you just send that in. And so, that's all I'd say. Add, cut, summary of why you changed it. And then we can add it into the article from there. And so I hope that it can be something that's helpful and beneficial to everyone as they're continuing to grow as deck builders and learn more. And yeah, for now, it'll just be me. I have actually, the other thing I should mention, if a deck, it's like, oh, wow, this deck is no longer relevant for the meta, it'll get an outdated tag. And so, it's like, this isn't going to be updated anymore, but you can reference it, as something, to get ideas from. But so I'd say if a deck, I need to decide the timeline, but I'm thinking if it goes like 8 months without an update, then it will get the outdated tag. And then if the author submits an update, it'll go back into the, pool of, regularly updated decks. But that's the other aspect to it.
Sounds like a very cool idea. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. You got anything you want to add, Brad, before I finish with my point? Or my thing? It's not really a point. I have something I want to say on the record.
Yeah, I got 2 things, and I'll be done.
You need these keys, and you've been pimped.
Oh, wow.
From Pimp My
You got a daggone hot tub in the back of your truck or a pool table.
I got a fuzzy sunroof.
Remember they put an aquarium into one of those with fish?
Yep. I remember there was one dude. It was like they found like it had a roach infestation and they found rodents in it while they were trying to tear it apart. And when they came back to get the car, they were like, well, 2 things. Actually 3 things. We couldn't pimp your old one. It was so bad. We just had to buy you a new car, and then we pimped that. And here's the keys, and you officially been pimped. They had to buy them a new car because they checked out when they saw the rats in it. Oh man! Like
the peak of television,
yeah,
for sure. But I like what you said, Chad, about also like people like that have been in Redemption for a while go into Land of Redemption to catch those articles of like, because like you do a really good job about really writing out about your deck and the thought process behind it and everything. And I think that's what makes players better is when they can start picking up on the thought processes of some people. Like if you watch Redemption with Jaden, you're gonna pick up on his thought process. If you listen to like Nick Marshall on the Chamber of Angels podcast today, you're going to pick up on his thought process about things. When you read your articles, you pick up on those. And that's very helpful in a game that is very complex to kind of branch out from your own kind of thoughts about how the game should go and offense and defense and really incorporate other people's strategies. That's really cool. So that would be number 1. Number 2, I need to ask a favor of you, Chad.
Putting him on the
spot. If you are ever in Alabama, and I hope you come here one day, I need you to correct people in saying salmon instead of salmon, because there's a lot of people here that say salmon, and it's not okay.
That is not okay.
John was one of them. We converted him, but.
What?
I'm just kidding. My pastor says salmon. Like he'll be like, I went to Sam's and got a salmon. Every time I'm like, no, but you know.
You know another one of those words that like gets mispronounced around here is I used to be really good friends with a guy that was from around Chicago area, and he would talk about going back home to Illinois.
Yeah.
People in Alabama, Illinois? No, there's only one of them. There's only one. There's not 2 noise. There's only one noise.
You just add an S to everything.
Yeah. Them Sims cards. Let me get them Sims cards.
Oh my goodness. You know, there's no place worse with pronunciation though than Canada. Canada's the worst.
Canada is the worst. I can agree with that. Yeah. Canada's the worst. Just end it there. That's the sentence.
Yep.
Canada's the worst.
Just the worst. Yeah, Justin Bieber from there.
I'm just kidding. Isn't Jared originally from there or has family there or something? Jared Strauss?
So. Yeah.
I remember him mentioning visiting family in Canada or something like that.
You trying to do more shots on this podcast, John?
Or no, I'm not. I was just. That's why I'm trying to pull it back.
Canada.
No, I'm trying to pull it back because I don't want to offend somebody in the community.
Look, I'll offend. So saying salmon would offend us in the Northwest. Now, from the very north, you want to know how they say something that's sacred to the South? They say buffet, buffet. That's how they say it, buffet. That's how my wife says buffet. She's like, let's go to the buffet.
I know my way around a buffet. I know how to say that word.
Yeah. So that's offensive how they call that up north. They say it wrong. Buffet.
People in the South still get mad when people call soda pop.
We say pecan, not pecan. Things like that. Yeah,
it's definitely pecan, not pecan. I'm sorry. It's not pecan.
It's not.
But like in Virginia, that's like the difference. Like people from Virginia area call it pecan, and like some people in like Tennessee might even. But like it's It's basically Alabama and Mississippi on an island calling it pecan. People in Georgia's like, nah, dog, we know what it is.
They got the peaches down in
And
Georgia.
people in
now.
Alabama and Mississippi's like, no, it's still pecan. Pecan pie? You mean pecan? No. So, yeah. But earlier, I'll rein it in here. I'll get us on a more serious note. Earlier, you mentioned that I was getting a little deep, and that's funny because here is a spot where I do want to handle kind of a more deep topic for a moment, and that's Jay Chambers. I am the first person that will make a joke at Jay Chambers' expense. He makes it so awfully easy. Like, it is super easy to do it. He makes it easy. And we've had our time talking about him. And, you know, me and Jeremy crack jokes about him. Me, Jeremy, and Tyler. The more people you add to the little party, the more jokes we just kind of crack or whatever. But it's all in good fun. We love Jay. Jay has a special place in my heart because if it wasn't for getting to go when, you know, we first started playing the game and I went and met him and Jeremy for the first time, and I did that, you know, Saturday where we hung out and played, and I saw, like, top level, like, this is what a deck can do and look like. And it really engaged me. I was like, my deck doesn't do that. How do I get from me sucking to that? And it gives me something to look forward to. And I was hooked from that moment on. And that was shortly after 2019 Nationals. Here we are 4 years later. So I've got a lot of history with Jay now, I feel like. And I don't want to talk this up too much, but for all the things that I say about Jay, I hope everyone knows that I love Jay. But I saw something while I was away, and I haven't really commented. I haven't even said anything to Jay. So I'm sorry, buddy, for that. But they have not had success with having a child to this point, and they are now expecting their first child. So I wanted to make sure for all the stuff we say, life is so much bigger than the jokes that we make. So I wanted to go on the record here on the podcast saying congratulations to Jay and his wife, Alexis. And there will be a baby chamber. I guess he'll need another chamber in the future so it can be Baby Chamber Brothers. But there will be another chamber. Probably coming out holding a pack of GOC or something. But just want to say congratulations to Jay.
Definitely. Congrats, Jay. Jay's a good dude.
He's definitely a good dude. I probably made that a little awkward just throwing it here at the end. I meant to do it at some point, like in the recent news, and I forgot, and I didn't want to end the podcast without saying it. So, yeah,
when you were going through that, I was not expecting. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, like, what is he gonna say? What is he gonna say? Oh man, okay, wow, like, congrats, dude. Let's go, another chamber.
Yeah. So you always expect me to crack some kind of like weak-hearted joke or something. But I've got a serious side too. Mm-hmm. I just don't use it very often. I keep turning around, but I can't get to it. So I guess we'll work on ending the episode here. Chad, the site looks fantastic. Thanks for taking that torch, because I know that I feel like Gabe was at a point to where he was needing to get some of that stuff off of his plate so that he could, you know, maybe get back towards that, you know, more basic appreciation of the game from just this is a hobby that I fell in love with, and not everything about it is kind of like work. But you being able to take that torch for the Land of Redemption site and now, you know, see it kind of revamped with Daniel the Creator offering to do that, it's got it in a good spot. So definitely thank you for doing that for the community. Thank Daniel for his contributions there. And guys, share it with your friends. Use it like the Allsteads did as a prop for, not really a prop, but just to showcase the site when you do your, you know, display tables for tournaments and whatnot. It's a really cool resource that we have now. It's a good front door for the game. It's a good first spot for someone to find. So let's make sure we're using it for that. And I'm super excited about, you know, the potential that it offers for the game to the outside perspective. I know I've mentioned that a couple of different times, but I really do think that it gives this game kind of that little bit of edge it needs to kind of attract maybe a Magic the Gathering type player. So thanks, Chad, for your role in bringing that to us.
My pleasure. And thanks for, this podcast to kind of get it featured and get the word out there too, that we're looking for help and original content. So thank you, both of you guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So I guess we'll go ahead and sign off there, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Threshing Floor Podcast. I want to thank you guys for listening along. Thank Chad for coming on. Thank Daniel, the creator, for this brand new look to Land of Redemption that I think is really going to help, with the outside perspective. We mentioned that a few times, but super excited to have that as a tool for the community now and outreach for this game. So definitely want to thank those guys, and we'll look forward to catching you on next week's episode. Peace.